Silly Wabbit, that spot is for Dan.
Twix is for kids.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Stupid O'Clock, since Joe won't go ahead and introduce his own damn show.
I'm still trying to figure out why everything was 10 minutes, scheduled 10 minutes ahead of...
10 minutes behind the actual time.
Yeah.
Well,
every show was scheduled for that for the next week, but I fixed it.
My guess is you had a little problem with your mouse scroll bar.
Probably.
Because once you click on those things and it lets you pick time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't lock it in, it's too easy to change that stuff.
Especially if you're in a hurry.
Yep.
Yeah, I flunked one of my first engineer courses doing that because it was an old computer with an old mouse, and it was multiple choice questions. So you click on it, you click on the one you want, and it would ask you, and you had to scroll down to the answer. All right. But then you had to lock your answer before you went on to the next question, because if you scrolled down to the next question, it changed your answer. And scrolled down. It did both. It would scroll down to the next question and scroll down
your
the last
previous answer.
Scroll down your previous answer because you hadn't locked it in. And I kept complaining to that. I complained to a command sergeant major at a major military trade-off school. Okay.
And that did just about as much good as...
No, then I had to call him back and explain what happened. But
that
fortunately,
was embarrassing.
He actually congratulated on me. He says, "That's a good engineer. That's a sign of a good engineer that you could actually find the problem and fix it."
Finding the problem is no problem. Fixing it may involve a time machine.
No, fixing it would just involve a new computer.
You were working on bomb disposal too, so.
Well, I didn't actually do bomb disposal. We just handled explosives. It's a big difference. That's an entirely different set of schools.
Yeah. John disposed of bombs by throwing them at the enemy through a propellant device.
Well, when I was an engineer, we hand delivered them. When I was in the mortar platoon, we sent them airmail.
Don't send them UPS. It'll never get there. Lindsay's lost about 4 packages now that got to a town 10 miles away to the UPS substation and then disappeared when it got transferred to the post office.
If I want to make sure I get a package delivered, I put the address for my mom's house because they all know her. UPS, FedEx, Walmart, Amazon,
I'm not sure that's a wife's move with high explosives.
Hey, if they'll deliver diapers to her house, trust me, they don't mind handling high explosives.
Why does someone deliver? Oh, the pig.
No.
Okay.
No, she takes care of foster kids. And
Okay.
And of course,
I thought diapers were for the pit.
Hey, John.
Excuse me.
Let's see. Yeah, put that to where. No, I don't like that. I can't see you guys. But hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hello, John.
Pull it back up here where I can actually see you guys. Oh.
John.
Oh,
John B. Pica.
Yeah.
I ordered a copy of the comic book, the cryptid comic book, about a year ago, and it's never shown up. Um, do I need
Bigfoot,
to
Bigfoot
do I
ate it.
need to reorder that, or even though the money's already come out of my bank account for it? I hate to say this, but you know, your shipping is a little bit delayed.
Maybe,
Um,
hey, maybe it actually got delivered. It's just in a town 10 miles over with your wife's packages.
I don't know. Uh, there was the Cryptid Crunch tie-in comic book with the Jersey Devil and his friends. Uh, it just never showed up. I'm sorry. I hate to complain. I really hate to complain.
Somebody needs to do some artwork of like the Loch Ness monster eating your comic book.
Actually, that would probably fit in with the spirit of the comic that I was shown. Um,
There is, and this is hilarious. They have a spoon for like soup and coffee
oh yes, yes, I've seen that.
that it comes down. It looks like a dessert spoon kind of thing, but it comes down. It sits flat in the bottom of the cup or the bowl, and then it has this long tapered neck that sticks up out of the coffee or the soup, and it's the Loch Ness monster.
Ah,
Oh well, these are probably some of the same circumstances. I'm very sorry, John. I apologize.
yeah.
Um, Not your fault, obviously.
Oh, I found uh, the Nestle Quick Spoon with the rabbit.
I haven't thought of that in
Years, decades.
Oh,
half
did
a
you move your mic,
century.
Joe? Oh, I can't hear Joe. He's all of a sudden
Oh.
coming quiet.
I can hear him just fine.
Well, that's because you won't put earphones on.
Like 90% of the listening audience, all three of them. Anyway. And I think one.
And
I think
I,
one of the. I
yes.
think one of those is me. Um,
Sometimes we have 7 listeners.
Nestle Quick.
And John says now he wants some Nestle Quick.
I have not had Nestle.
Hey, hey, hey! Don't knock Nestle. She's a fine girl.
What a
She'll be a good wife someday.
she could be.
Yes, indeed. That's a segue and a half right there. Michaela is
And there's
in the
Michaela.
house.
Hey,
Hello,
Michaela.
darling.
Have you noticed my subtitles have been movie or song quotes here lately?
Well, now that you mention it,
Actually, I had not noticed because I thought, subtitles, leave them alone once you get the right ones.
Yeah.
But knowing you,
Yeah,
I should have figured they would be topical.
topical and earworms.
Oh, we got another ping. Oh, it looks like Kiri's here. Yes,
Bye.
there we go.
He made
Then
it.
scroll down.
Hello.
Hello, Kiri.
doo-doo-doo-doo.
Hi guys, how are y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Living
I
but
got
not happy about it.
What?
All right. I was just trying to see what Curie's subtitle was. He's trying. He's my Padawan.
Let's see, what does it say? No, I can't read it.
No, you gotta click his here. There you go, Dan.
Oh, okay. I thought it said redheaded stepchild, but no, it says resident something poster.
Oh man.
I think both are equivalent.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
True.
Okay, I'm going to throw this at you because I just found this right before the show on a news feed I'm looking at, and that It's from 1945, which I believe used to be warhistory.com. But they changed their title, apparently. History Channel soon or something like that.
No,
I'm going to read it to you. I want to get y'all's reactions to this. Okay. Joe Biden is old. Why not Michelle Obama for president? And then they're talking about they're trying to get Michelle Obama to run in 2024.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, she'd be competent.
Very competent.
I would like to give Joe another 4 years just to piss a certain someone off, but
I don't think he'll
make another 4 years.
No.
Well, I mean, how old is he?
Well, we don't know for sure because I think we really have to worry about is the warranty that Disney gave the Secret Service for the animatronics.
John Pica may be right.
Yeah.
Michelle might be too honest for politics. Right. It kept me from going into the local. I won't say anymore. No.
I am amazed with the way that people treat politicians. Well, no offense, most politicians bring it on themselves, but I'm just amazed how the way people treat and think about politicians that anyone would even consider running for president.
Yeah. Well, I thought about running, for city council here, but the skeletons in my closet still have meat hanging on the bones.
I'm sorry, but I was brought up to think that politicians were pretty much
like diapers and need to be changed for the same reason.
No, Charles Manson wannabes.
Hey, yeah. Carl.
Hi, Carl.
Hey, Carl. And actually, in my 6.5 decades of life, I can't think of a single politician that would invalidate that theory.
And there's Mr. Walker.
Hey, Chris. Long time no see. At least you're not in the car right now.
Yeah. I can think of a few politicians that were actually worth their beans.
Well, aside from John Glenn and
Clint Eastwood.
I didn't remember he went into politics.
Yeah, that was
Mayor of Carmel, California.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
County. Sonny Bono. He took the job.
Oh, he was entirely too honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That tree ran out and grabbed him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure the Secret Service agents had a tree that could jump out in front of people.
You planted it on purpose. Yes. Let's see who else. Jimmy Carter, I believe, was entirely too honest.
He was.
Davy Crockett.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Davy Crockett had such a bad time in Washington, D.C., he actually thanked all the people that did not vote for him. I'm glad you didn't vote for me. Got me kicked out of that damn job.
Really? Save that for the career criminals.
I'm trying to.
What was the joke? What was the joke? Kid comes home from high school and goes, "Yeah, I'm thinking of either becoming a politician or joining the mafia." And his dad says, government or private sector or something like that. I blew that one completely out of the water. That I couldn't remember the punchline at all.
I'm thinking about going into organized crime. Oh. Government or private sector?
Yes. That's the one. Thank you. Did not save my bacon, but corrected my mistake.
Well, HallowCon, Chris picked up 2 badges today and a vendor,
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
so that's good.
Who was the vendor?
I don't know. I haven't. I saw that they applied and headed out the door.
Okay. The badges, any names we're familiar with?
Nope,
Okay. Well,
they're from
good.
Statesboro, Georgia, though.
Ooh,
Okay.
Oh, probably one of the Allman Brothers band.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wish.
They have to come up. They have to come up to HallowCon to get out of the Statesboro Blues.
I'm gonna tell you, if any of the original members show up, I'm gonna run.
If any of the descendants of the original members show up, I may have a room party.
God, could you imagine if we got Caesar Tedeschi, Derek Trucks there?
That would be nice.
We got the floor show covered.
Yep.
Okay. I found this interesting today on the news. Keanu Reeves got an offer from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to play some character, and it was a multi-show deal, and they offered him $1.1 billion
Dang.
to join
Wow.
the MCU. Okay. He thanked them, but says, "I'm sorry, but I've already made a commitment to the John Wick people, and they have my loyalty."
Well, isn't John Wick done?
No, they might do a 5th one.
And I haven't even seen the 4th one yet.
I mean,
Well, how are they going to do it without the desk clerk that died?
It's actually addressed in the 4th movie, but they say you
Yeah.
have you. It's one of those spoilers.
Okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
I haven't seen it.
I've got to see the 4th one. I've got to admit that the John Wick movie series has been one of the best that I have seen in quite a while.
Oh yeah.
And that includes everything since Star Wars No Number in 1970s. So
Now-
Hey, Donna. Hey, Carl. Hey, Michaela. Hey, Jim.
I was watching something and they asked Keanu Reeves, "What movie would you like to have a sequel in? Like to have as a sequel?" He goes, "Constantine."
oh, I'd love that. I mean, as much as I like the character that was doing Constantine, or the actor that was doing Constantine on CW,
Oh yeah.
Kino's Constantine would
I
be a
don't
very
know.
hard act to follow.
I don't know if they could make it happen, but I'd love to see a Constantine Hellboy crossover.
That'd be good.
Take my money, please.
Oh, and Dan,
That would be outstanding. Yes.
you know all the gun action or firearm action in the John Wick movies?
Yeah.
Do you know-
Gun fu.
Yeah. Do you know Keanu Reeves is very proficient in every one of those weapons?
Yep.
I have seen him
Wow.
practice.
They've been running
Not
these
in person, but I've seen recordings.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of it.
I've
Him
seen
and Haley
footage
Berry.
of him recording, and he takes it very seriously.
Gun fu.
Yes, gun fu. Yes, indeed.
What's his name? Christian Bale is actually very good at that too. And there's this one very underrated sci-fi movie he was in where he played an agent that had to use gun martial arts. And it's kind of a dystopian future thing where they outlaw emotions. So everyone has to take pills.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Hey Zach,
Hey, Zach,
Zach?
I already sent you a link in Discord.
And I need you in here because we got something to talk about.
You gonna ask Zach about Keanu Reeves movies?
Yes.
No.
Okay, it was a good guess.
That sounded like Zach flying in.
No,
And I guarantee you, Zach already knows what I want to ask him about.
Mnemonic.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
I'm pretty sure that
Mnemonic,
was the
not
founder of
mnemonic.
that coming in here.
Sorry, John.
Zach goes, "Oh dear, do we? Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah, we do.
Maybe
Oh.
he can talk about it.
I guarantee he could talk about it. I know he wants to talk about it. It is one of the best blunders in aviation history.
Oh, now I know it's not Zach, but I keep seeing somebody with initials that start with Z in some of the boat videos
Yeah.
where, well, not boat videos, some of the English family videos where they had taken a vacation in Florida, and this guy keeps going, "Oh, did you want to see the rocket launch? Did you?" And I'm going, "That's not Zach because it's not coherent."
Oh.
But the initials were in the range that go for just about 3 seconds. I go, "Is that Zach?" No. The questions were not grammatically correct or even generally comprehensible, but
And SpaceX released a tracking shot of the return to launch site from the Axiom mission. That is absolutely beautiful. You can see the shock waves of the 3 sonic booms form around the rocket.
It does sound impressive.
Yeah. Oh. What are you doing, Chris?
Scrolling.
I'm looking at
Popcorn.
no something I broke out last weekend.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
Dan, Chris, don't show it to me, please. He's not in a good mood right now. It would just piss him off even more.
Yeah, I should.
Somebody just found a
It's
bottle
safe. I have a substitute.
Yeah, but the good stuff.
Old Forester.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Used to, when you say Old Forester, people would go, ugh.
Nowadays they go, yeah, I've seen that movie.
So Chris has been finding Forrester.
Oh, I found it.
Run, Forrester, run. Okay, that was a pun too far.
I don't know, Yogi. All we got to do to steal the picnic baskets is fool the Forester Ranger.
Oh, y'all saw the video I posted about when your wife can't decide where she wants to go? The best way to make her make a decision?
Waffle House.
No. Dan understands it. Just start taking off your clothes like you're ready to go to bed. She'll find some place to go.
Mm-hmm. As long as she don't have to cook.
Joe Dog, that
What?
presupposes that any of us are stupid enough to click on a link you post.
There's Zach. There's my friend.
Hello. On that note, yes.
I knew I heard him flying in here.
So,
How's it going?
So, Zach.
Oh no.
You had to hit him with it right away. You couldn't just, buy him flowers and maybe a box of chocolates first.
Too cheap.
Oh, you know what I'm going to ask you about?
Do I?
Electrical tape. I'm going to ask you about what you know about electrical tape.
That it's flammable? And that we covered an entire spacecraft that we wanted to put crew in with it?
Yeah.
And our solution is to put more electrical tape over top of it?
Is that the solution?
Well, if you have like spacecraft and then like flammable tape, if you put another layer on top that isn't flammable, the flames can't get to the flammable tape. So then you're okay.
Yeah, right.
Just out of curiosity, why are they using electrical tape on the spacecraft in the first place?
Wiring
Because it
harness.
holds it together since they started on it since 2008.
Oh,
They
come
started
on.
on it in 2008.
I think it was 2011. To be fair,
Yeah,
I will be fair, but
And they still hadn't finished the dang thing.
well, it's flown twice. It's also broken both times, but it's okay.
And
We
they
almost
still-
we almost put crew on it in like 4 weeks' time, but they did another check and found out that the parachutes were broken. So, I mean, it wouldn't have been a crew launch failure.
It has a light side and a dark side, and it binds the universe together.
It's that sudden stop at the end that tends to be a little bit disconcerting.
Well, they'll just take
No, I
the-
think it's the re-entry plasma that kind of screws up that
Well,
particular
Virgin
plan.
Galactic makes all their people wear parachutes, so we'll just make that normal.
yeah.
They're still in business.
Well,
Yeah, Virgin Galactic is.
yeah, for now.
Virgin Orbit isn't.
No, definitely not.
Now, also the rocket that's supposed to fly Orion has some issues. Well, not the rocket.
Oh, Vulcan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those wonderful Blue Origin engines that don't work.
Yeah, they have an igniter problem. Oops. So,
Well, any rocket engine that depends on a redneck standing underneath it with a can of propane and or a can of WD-40 and a cigarette lighter is doomed to failure from the get-go.
Cricket lighter and some Aquanet.
Ooh, now that might work. That would put something into orbit right there.
Wasn't it Russia that had the guy run out, light the fuse, jump in the car, and take off?
Light the blue touch paper and stand well back. This does not bode well for the rocket industry.
There is a joke from the movie Armageddon where the one guy was comparing NASA rockets to the rockets that Wile E. Coyote used in the Roadrunner series.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy Bob Thornton's character looked at him and goes, "We have much better rockets."
Yep.
Do we?
Speaking of which, did you see?
Do we?
Did you see Lewis's post the other day?
Of?
The Acme rocket.
Oh, yeah, the Acme space program.
Yes.
Wile E. Coyote on the rocket, headed to orbit.
I think I've actually got the poster version of that and somewhere on my work computer. Ping,
So-
ping, ping.
Good grief!
It's not me.
it's not me.
Not me.
Not me. While Zach is here, I have heard that they have just come up with a new development in aerospike engines.
Oh, dear
Oh,
God.
now those are
Lay it
those
to
are nice.
rest.
Well,
Nobody
no, if they
wants
could
an
get it,
aerospike.
if they could get it to work, it'd be nice.
Yeah, but let's just focus on the Nerva engine. We need nuclear engines, not aerospikes.
Well, for liftoff, maybe aerospike for in orbit to far destinations. Nerva, yes.
To quote another movie about a comet hitting Earth,
There's so many.
Deep Impact, where the Russian was trying to hit on the chicks at the party, and he was talking about how the rocket they were using had a nuclear engine, and he says it was designed by the same people that designed Chernobyl. And they looked at him and go, Chernobyl? He goes, well, Chernobyl almost worked.
Oh God.
No, guys, you know what the ding was?
You get notifications after the fact.
That was the stupid o'clock thread.
Time to start the show.
Yeah.
Oh.
I
Okay.
feared it was delay from that.
Oh, so Zach, what is the word in the circles
Josh.
About which?
about the flammable tape?
They're investigating it, and they're determining
the media guys.
Oh,
is it a field day?
A little bit. It's just another day of Starliner being delayed another year. I think when they legitimately said on stream that they don't know what this means on how long repairs will take, and that they basically implied they might have to gut the entire spacecraft
and start over.
Almost. We don't know how much of it they actually need to do, but we do know that we don't want another Apollo 1. So they're not going to,
True.
And wasn't there something with the reaction control thruster valves too?
Yeah, that was 9 months ago, something like that. When the hurricane went through, they put it out on the pad, and some rain get in, and it made some things sticky, and who knew that leaving a rocket outside during a thunderstorm was a bad idea?
NASA.
I do have a question. Do they make a flame retardant that they could put on it that could withstand the temperatures and pressures of orbit and re-entry?
I don't think Starliner does. I think it has It has its heat shield.
The only thing I can think of you mean a non-flammable tape?
Well, I was thinking of
the tape's on the inside.
Apply to the tape that would withstand it.
The tape's on the inside's the issue.
Yeah.
Aluminum tape can withstand heat.
Yeah.
But
Chris, the wiring harness is completely wrapped in flammable tape.
Wow.
So one short circuit and you've got a problem.
You got to make
I see.
Someone didn't catch this until we've launched it twice and have crew basically almost entering quarantine to go up on it, I don't know. Same thing with how they didn't detect that the parachutes are broken until one of the last reviews.
I'm just wondering why they didn't have conduit that was flame retardant around it, so they didn't need to worry about electrical tape.
To save weight.
I just want to know when the contract's going to be pulled. How many more years do we have to wait?
Yeah, how many more billions are we going to have to drop into this thing? I think Sierra Nevada's going, guys, give us 6 months.
Well, Dream Chaser powered on for the first time this week.
Yeah.
The actual, like a functional, real spacecraft, they turned it on for the first time on internal power. So,
and no sparks, and it didn't catch on fire.
Yeah.
Which is a plus.
We might see that fly by end of year. It's a possibility. We're not sure because it all depends if Vulcan gets off the ground.
Now, Dream Chaser, how do they launch that?
In a Vulcan.
And it's got foldable wings.
So this, these go in, and then this goes in a fairing on top of Vulcan.
Okay. So I was wondering, because I know they were talking about buying they were going to buy the Strato launch to launch something, and then they bought Virgin Orbit's big plane.
Yes,
to do the
Strato Launch bought their plane. Strato Launch owns the Rock, which is like the ridiculously massive plane that has 2 cockpits and just doesn't make sense. They were going to launch a little vehicle much smaller than this under the middle of that.
Right.
But then they realized, we can just buy Virgin Orbits and put it under the wing and launch it too. So they did that.
Well, if they start getting launched orbit vehicles built, that gives them 2 planes. And what's nice about it is both of them use 747 engines. One of them is a 747. The other one has 6 747 engines. So I imagine that one will wind up being the heavy lifter.
Yeah, Josh, we're talking about Boeing.
Starliner.
Yeah. Oh, and Carl said, so the electrics blow up like the panels on Star Trek.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly. I was at a panel on Wednesday, Thursday. I don't remember what day of the week it was. At KSC with one of the actresses off Strange New Worlds, one of the writers from Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, a few others. He wrote the Inner Light episode, and a couple NASA people, and they were talking about how a lot of Star Trek has influenced what the future of NASA is and departments and what we're dreaming ours is going to be. So we're just, finally making our panels, explode out when we have issues.
Yes, but we've invented circuit breakers. There's no need for that.
But it's exciting. Adds some drama.
There was this movie called Space Cowboys.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Tommy Lee Jones, Clint Eastwood. But there was this one scene where they got hit and the shuttle was in trouble. And there's a fire behind one of the panels. And what I love about it is they showed one of the fire suppression systems. He pulls out a Halon fire extinguisher, but it's got a little tip on it, like you see on the end of an air compressor. He goes over the panel, plugs it in to a port on the front of the panel and squirts the fire extinguisher, and it goes inside the panel. And the reason for that is if you try to fire a fire extinguisher in 0G,
it's a rocket engine.
It's a pressurized container. It'll throw you to the other side of the cabin. So they have these locking nipples to lock it in place, and then you pull the trigger. So.
Well, it makes sense.
But they actually showed them using that sort of thing in the movie, which, I've never actually seen another movie do that sort of thing. You always have some idiot standing there with a fire extinguisher that doesn't blow them across 0G.
And I posted up another video about the speed of spacecrafts. Did y'all see that one?
With the comparative speed of the various craft that have been launched.
Yeah. The manhole made the list.
Oh, good. The manhole cover made the list.
That made me happy.
Even though they don't know if it actually made it into space.
Or disintegrated on the pad, but...
It made it into space. It's now intergalactic. Some alien looking at it.
I am going to laugh if they find what's left of Elon Musk Tesla.
With a manhole cover
stuck in the engine block. I would just laugh my ass off for days.
No. If the damn thing made it off the ground, it was way on out there too far for Elon's Tesla to ever.
It depends on the orbit.
It's traveling faster than Voyager 1, 2, and a couple of the Pioneers.
Yeah. There's like one Pioneer that's outrunning everything.
Can you eat that much Taco Bell, Joe?
No.
Not even Joe Dog can exceed that escape velocity. No.
But yeah,
you got to use extra hot sauce for that one.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I was thinking Pioneer was the fastest of the bunch.
One of them after all the orbital boosts around the outer planets. Yeah.
The one that orbited Jupiter got a really big gravity boost because they tried to get in as close as they could to take some readings.
Yeah.
The Parker Solar Probe is going 430,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's
But it's heading toward the sun. It's getting a really big gravity boost.
Yeah.
And then Juno's at 165,000.
Yeah. But that's what people drive on 285 in Atlanta.
Zach, I just wanted to hear your opinion of the Starliner. Can we call it a fiasco yet?
I mean, there's so many names that have been given to it over the years. Scrub liner, stall liner. You know, it'll get off the ground eventually.
I would call it eventually it'll work liner.
The biggest thing, it's hard because I would rather see NASA's budget go into something that's going to work now, but they also have Crew Dragon. But I understand the reason they want redundancy. If a Falcon 9 fails during launch at any point at this point, they're not going to put crew on it till it's been investigated and tested again. So, you know, there's an issue there that we are still stuck to only one vehicle to get to the ISS, but we also only have 7 years left on the ISS. So Starliner doesn't launch for another year and a half into actual operational missions. Is it really at the point we need it? But for those that aren't ultra nerdy, only NASA fans, Starliner still has a whole future with Orbital Reef with Blue Origin. So it's not only for the ISS.
Now, I can understand wanting redundancy, right? But we are talking about NASA being the organization for a long time that the only thing they had that would get to the ISS were space shuttles.
Yeah.
It was also that was the only rocket they had really at the time that could, though.
Yeah.
They hadn't focused on. I think that's where we're seeing the shift in their mindset in the last few years. Is finally we're seeing it across NASA in general that kind of every department's agreeing NASA will never make another rocket after SLS. That's basically a given now. Space Launch System is NASA's last rocket. Unfortunately, somewhat.
I don't know.
They'll build spacecrafts, but not rockets.
I may be alone in this, but I'm very, very glad that the opportunities for the U.S. to get manned flights to the space station and beyond is no longer dependent on Russia.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that.
Well, actually, right now there is a rocket in the United States that can lift and get Orion to the moon, and it's not SLS.
So, which
Falcon
one?
Heavy.
Yeah.
Technically, but it would need a lot of modifications. But yes, technically it can lift it and do that burn. Just.
Closer corners have been cut before.
Yeah.
When needed. It could be done when needed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in a pinch, Elon could have a Falcon Heavy ready in 3 months?
Yeah, if we needed to. If it was the race for us losing Shackleton Crater, absolutely. But that's the race we're in now that the U.S. still doesn't want to admit to. But
and China,
NASA's admitting to it now.
Yeah, China's saying 2030. 29, isn't it?
27 even for some stuff they're thinking. Yeah. Not crew, but landers.
Crew in 29 or 30.
Yeah, they're trying to do 29 because they think NASA won't be till 30 realistically, but it all depends how Artemis 2 goes.
Where'd I park that damn Jupiter to? Somewhere near where I parked the TARDIS. I don't know. It's over on the farm somewhere.
I think we need to go through some of the older NASA file cabinets and start looking at that Sea Dragon concept again.
I can get that paperwork. I know somebody. No, we talked to Houston's. We talked to Houston's archives department, and we're trying to get some information on just how that is all structured and everything. And they gave us some context to the National Archives. The lady was really nice, but she was like, we were trying to request what would be a rather large file of info for shuttle info, and it didn't dawn on us that still NASA has not considered it important to digitalize any of their archives. So they still have multiple warehouses on Johnson Space Force Base of banker boxes full of every single archive of NASA's history. And this very nice lady sent me a 250-page document that she scanned for us, which are the table of contents of the shelving units of the archives that we would have to request specific box numbers. And it was like a line would be, I don't know, one of the ones that stood out to us, Challenger, public response, apologies, cards, posters, and other. And there's like 280 boxes. And every single card that was ever sent to NASA has been stored after the Challenger and after the Columbia incident. So there's hundreds of boxes of those sitting that we can request, and if we pay for it, they will scan every single one. And I'm like, okay, I want the blueprints, but it's like they've got so much stuff that they haven't digitalized that if, unfortunately there was a fire or something, we lose the whole first 40, 50 years of NASA completely.
I'm sorry, but not even I can type that fast.
They pulled a Doctor Who with a lot of their early videotapes.
Yes, exactly.
A lot of stuff.
Or simply forgot where they were stored.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a story about some guy in New York, somewhere down the line. He had bought at auction a surplus. It looked like a computer, one of those old-fashioned computers with the big reel tape, but it was actually it recorded communications or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he bought the computer, and when he opened up the bottom, it looked like a really big computer, but it was just, the top part was basically a tape machine. And when you opened up the bottom of it, there was storage for tapes. It had tapes in it.
Joe Dog, YouTube just started the show over again.
What?
What?
No, YouTube is showing the intro for the show.
No, I'm watching right now.
Did you just click back on it?
I didn't click anything. This is my iPad, so that may explain it. It's
yeah,
I'm watching
you. Click live.
Why am I listening?
Carl says he's okay on the channel.
Yeah. I'm going to X out and restart.
All right.
And not that I'm doing an awful lot of chatting, but that's why I use the YouTube, so that I don't wind up with an equal number of replies to the number of destinations that are programmed for the channel.
Okay, Dan.
Okay. We're back, and I can see, I can see Kiri on, so everything is in real time.
Yeah.
Quick programming question, Dan. Is it this week or next week, no Last Man Standing?
Next week on Saturday night, Sunday morning, there will be no Last Man Standing. I will not be in Stupid O'Clock either.
Okay.
Unless my iPad will give me a decent enough connection for me to come into the comments and say hi.
Yeah.
And John, have it show up within 30 minutes of when I posted it.
Yeah, and John will be pretty much running Stupid O'Clock because me and you may not be back from Knoxville in time.
No, we might not be.
What y'all going to Knoxville for?
FrankenCon.
Who? What?
Yeah. It's a monster convention in well, it's not Knoxville, it's Merville. Out by the airport.
Well, yeah. Got family there. Say the name of the convention again.
FrankenCon.
FrankenCon.
FrankenCon. Okay.
They called this year. Last year was FrankenCon. This year is Bride of FrankenCon, and next year will be Son of FrankenCon.
And the year after that will be Son of the Ghost of FrankenCon. Okay.
Bride of FrankenCon.
No,
No,
that's
that's this year.
next year.
That's the reason Frank couldn't come to the con.
Oh,
Not the green room. Not the green room. Not the green room.
Yeah.
Zach,
So,
you look
hopefully,
you look like you're frazzled from this week's space news.
It's been a week of getting this all set up, and then half of the plans fell apart today, but that's okay. So getting studio slowly set up. So
Oh, and
that on top of news and launches and just getting into the routine of living on the Space Coast.
I'm very sorry to have to ask this, but I really need to know the answer, Zach. You are not a frequent commenter on a British family's reaction to American stuff, are you?
No.
Okay, good. Because there's somebody that is, who is always trying to get them to, when they were taking a vacation in the U.S., get them to go either to Texas or they were in Florida and watch a launch and just going on waxing poetic about how awesome rocket launches are. And I'm going, that's not Zach.
I don't got time for that.
He's got common sense. This guy doesn't.
And why would I
Yeah.
tell them to come here, watch it on my channel, then I get paid?
yeah,
Mm.
Really?
Then I get to watch it. I'll watch it.
I just wanted to double check. Really.
Ellie's got to have
Oh.
more surgery.
Yeah, I saw that. I guess her physical therapy went a little too hard and tore part of her hip or something.
Yeah.
well,
Good night, Carl.
Hi, Carl.
Good night.
Yeah, because she was supposed to be out here for CRS 28. See you in the morning. But yeah, that whole thing. And then I don't even get to be at CRS 28, so I wouldn't have seen her anyways. So, foreign national. Yeah.
What? You can't.
Nope. No foreign national invited to CRS 28. They didn't even open it. Couldn't apply.
You're not foreign, you're Canadian.
Yeah, I'm telling
You're like a
NASA
nice
that.
foreigner.
Yeah, it's really funny. I get accredited. I'll get accredited with NASA, SpaceX, all of them when they open it. But then NASA doesn't open foreign media for half their missions that they do offer media to American citizens for. But then the Space Force base is currently sealed to all foreign nationals, period, because of everything happening with Russia. They had reopened the base right after the pandemic. They just reopened it for about a week and a half. They started offering the bus tours back onto Cape Canaveral, and Russia invaded on like a Tuesday, and by Friday they stopped all the bus tours again, stating the current world state and that they had to secure Cape Canaveral. Yet I can get accredited as a foreign national and am now accredited by the Space Force to be on base, even though the base is sealed to foreign nationals. Makes no sense.
But
gotta give you a waiver or something.
you're accredited, but you can't go.
It's a gray area. We're
Now-
not sure yet.
Now,
He's
why?
accredited, but he's not accredited that high.
Yeah, and on the Space Force, I just go with media. There's no I don't have to have someone hold my hand when I go to the bathroom. At NASA, depending on the mission, I do. I'm not kidding. I have to ask to be walked to my car or the bathroom building. Well, not even my car, but if my team is standing right outside the door, I cannot go outside the door and talk to my team at the press site. It's
Well,
really interesting.
Looks like you need a sidekick that can go in to some of these.
Well,
places.
that's where we've got a bunch of people now. getting signed up and whatnot, and hopefully in a year or two that won't be an issue with me being down here. But we'll see. See if your country lets me in.
I'm sorry, but I've got to wonder
Hey, tell them
how many Canadians do the U.S. government think are Russian spies?
all of them.
Not Russian.
Pretty much.
They're another country.
They're English spies.
No, other side of the planet.
Chinese.
Zach is obviously North Korean.
There you go. Do know? Well, I have a few stories that involve North Korea, not directly, but through friend or second party.
Hush, Zach. Just hush.
Okay, my mind is officially boggled now that anybody could think of that. Anyone that can survive a country that has Canadian geese in it would work for the Russians.
They're not that bad.
Shit.
They're
Well, no,
not.
they're-
They're really nice. We feed them.
Yeah, they taste good with a decent gravy too. But
No, that's duck, not goose.
no, goose. Yes.
You don't eat Canadian geese. They are a beautiful animal.
Cobra chickens. And stripes for that reason.
Believe me, I have watched enough British canal boat videos. Canadian geese live over there half the time, and they taste wonderful with a good stuffing and some gravy.
I had one attack my car the other day.
Well, what did you do to it with your car?
I drove by.
Yeah, see, that was your fault. You got too close.
It was standing in the road.
But that was its road. Did you ask if you could be on that road?
You pay the toll. There's a bread toll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have your like pass.
Throw croutons out the window, and you get a free pass.
No, he's standing in the middle of the road. So I went over, crossed the road, and went around. It turned around and started chasing my car.
Yeah, because you didn't pay the toll. But they just like the police. They would chase you if you didn't pay the toll here in Florida.
Oh,
Somebody got entirely too much free time.
Did you see the picture of the gal that took a selfie with the bison?
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry. I love to see those Darwin examples right there. Okay, that's just funny.
Joe can vouch for me. I live pretty close to a goose toll road.
yeah.
They don't let you pass. They just walk across the road and
Stop
make
and
you pay
look
the
at
toll.
you. Stop and look at you.
Well, you're interesting to look at.
That's why they made machine guns. Well, one of the reasons.
Well, no, Dan, that's why they make shotguns.
Flamethrowers.
Joe's interesting to look
Flamethrowers.
at.
You roast dinner while you're driving down the road. No feathers need apply. Sorry, I'm Southern. If it isn't trying to eat me, it's food, and if it is trying to eat me, it's
definitely
probably good food.
Did y'all see that video where this lady's walking into work and the goose attacks her and the guy pulls up in the car and tries to save her, chases her around? It chases her around the car. She opens the car door. She throws her bag down, opens the car door, and the damn goose flies in the car with her. The guy bails out the other side.
Oh, man.
And then the door opens up and you can see her. She grabbed it by the neck and threw it out. He's like,
I've seen too many episodes of Kung Fu to put up with a damn goose. Seriously.
Hey, I'm vengeful about stuff like that. You know, if I got my hands on the goose around the neck like that, I'd sit there and smack the crap out of him for like 5 minutes.
I
When I
think
get-
No. East Tennessee chicken. Twirl!
I think if the goose is in the car with you, the only thing you want is it out.
We're soon going to be banned in Canada as well as the other
Yes.
70-something odd countries we're banned in.
Hey.
Hey,
When
hey.
I get done with that goose, it won't go anywhere near a human being again. Okay.
But why? They're so friendly.
They're too friendly. That's their problem.
Hey, I think I figured it out. Okay.
Now, if you were
I
talking
bet there-
about swans, I could understand the animosity, but
I bet there are two types of Canadian geese.
Yeah, the ones that live in Canada and the ones that are like me that moved down here.
No, the British ones and the French ones, and we're getting the French ones.
I would agree with that.
that actually makes a whole lot of sense. We're getting the French Canadian geese.
The ones Zach deals with are the nice British ones. Come in, have a tea. You know.
Exactly. I have never had an issue with a goose.
And the rest are from the People's Republic of Quebec. Yes.
Get out of my sight, you English-speaking dogs!
Now, what about those geese that live over at the Chattanooga State campus?
Oh, those little bastards. I mean,
They're French.
you can't walk across. Chattanooga State has this big pond between
Two of them, actually.
main building and the parking lot. You got to walk across this bridge. They're friggin' trolls.
I've got to tell you from watching the British Canal Boat videos, the real villains of this particular soap opera are the swans, and they will chase a boat. I mean, seriously, and because canal boats are limited to a maximum speed of 4 miles an hour, the swans have a pretty good chance of catching up to the boat without having to take wing. Now, the choice is, do you get a speeding ticket for going faster than 4 miles an hour, or do you escape the killer swan?
Where is Rich when we need him? We ain't seen Rich in a few weeks.
Exactly.
He's been quite busy recently, actually. And oh Lord,
What is it?
I just noticed I had to reboot the wireless modem router, and because of that, half of the paperwork underneath it is trying to slide off into the floor. That's not good.
Donna said it's gaming night, and I think Rich needed
Oh, okay.
how to get his mind off of reality for a little bit.
Yes. I'll
I
be
totally
back.
understand that.
I'll be back shortly.
All right. Dan's got to stop an avalanche. So, Zach, what other big news is in the space world right now?
Good question. Let me catch up on it.
Did they get that supply mission off?
Tomorrow. Well,
In the morning.
in 12 hours. They're going to try again, but we'll see how the weather goes. It might be another 4:50 in the morning scrub, but we'll see. The weather for today's launch attempt was going to be 30% go. Tomorrow is 40% go, and then the next day 60 or 70% go. So we somewhat half hope it's one more day delay, just so we don't have to go through all of propellant loading and get to like 30 seconds in scrub because of weather. No one likes that, but we'll see.
It gets expensive, too.
Yeah. Luckily, it's not a crew mission, so it's not as bad, but it's hard, like, at least in media, it's hard as press when it's a crew launch and you get down to that 5-10 minute mark because we're out there. I mean, for AX2, I was out there at 6:30, and the launch wasn't until just like a few minutes before 6 p.m., and I was there at 6:30 a.m., so I was on site for 12 and a half hours before launch happened. well, 12 hours before launch happened, and then you're there for another couple hours after.
Oh, you weren't here when I was telling them that NASA or SpaceX released the tracking video of the landing.
Really awesome footage.
The shockwave, you could actually see the triple shockwave.
I felt that shockwave. It was great. That was my first booster landing. It was awesome.
They say it hits you right in the chest.
Oh, it's loud. I've heard a dragon return.
Yeah.
Sonic boom holds nothing to a booster. That was loud. I was just behind a group of new cadet soldiers. I'm not sure exactly what they were, but they were all in uniforms. And obviously their first launch, they were super excited. I think they were with the Space Force. And they forgot that it was coming back, and we're like, don't go anywhere. It's landing in about 4 minutes. They're okay. And they're all like, is it loud? And I'm like, yes. If you thought launch was loud, cover your ears. I was like, okay. And because of how, like, from the press site, there's a couple dead trees that luckily haven't been taken down, which is if you're standing anywhere where most of the press stand, you know where to look for where the landing pads are. We can't see it when it's on the ground, but we can see it. Basically, if the booster was on the ground, we can see till about here. So we know where to look. But normally, if it's coming in to land, it comes in like this. For AX2, it decided to come in like this because of the northern trajectory of the launch. It was the first time they've done a return to landing site on a crew launch, but also that means they have to do a boost back burn, not only enough to counteract coming back some of the distance, actually further than the pad they launched from. So they're actually now having to go past their pad that they launched from to land at the landing site, which is just crazy to think Falcon can do that. But it did it. But it came in. I caught it on footage or on my phone actually, of it coming back. And normally we're looking, it's coming right down the middle. To this one, no one saw it until it literally ignited, except for a few people that have seen a bunch of them return, so they know what they're looking for. But no one thought to look to the far left for it to come in, because it was, when I saw it, it was still like this to the ground, and it was igniting its engines to land, and it was like, oh, okay. That doesn't I would be surprised if that booster flies another crew. I think it's going to go under some structural investigations just to make sure it's okay. But yeah, that was probably the biggest news, all of just the AX2 mission. That was a big mission, a lot of science, a lot of firsts, 3 UAE astronauts on the station at the same time, which is amazing since 3 months ago there had never been one. So UAE is real. I think people are going to be surprised how much we see from the UAE in the next few years. They just announced their first asteroid mission today.
Oh, okay. And it's probably going on SpaceX.
I'm looking. It's actually just coming out. It's going to be similar to DART. Scheduled to launch March 2028. Okay, it sounds like it might be similar to Lucy more than DART. So yeah, it's going to be asteroid like research, not impact. Yeah, it's going to be similar to Lucy.
And when is the sample mission supposed to be here?
September,
Okay.
I believe it's September. It's supposed to be back August or September.
And they've got the landing down to what, within a mile?
Yeah, I believe it's landing in Salt Lake in the sea flat. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about it. They launched this thing, what, 10 years ago?
Something like that. And we know exactly where it's going to land to a mile.
Yeah, that's some math right there.
That's some fancy shooting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite amazing the things that can actually be planned and done and all of that. And work when it works.
Well, I think the best idea for NASA is not to deal with Boeing anymore.
I don't know what happened with Starliner, and I had someone raise a hypothesis on maybe why we've been seeing some issues from Boeing. They have gone through a lot of people. Boeing's gone through a lot of transitions in the last 10 years. So has NASA. But with the privatization, I mean, we're even seeing it with some of the other YouTube channels that are like us. I don't want to say they're losing, but some of their teams are getting offers from within the industry that they can't refuse. So things that they've done for 5, 6, 8, 11 years, doing YouTube and media, they're getting offers to work media and communications in an aerospace company. And why would they ever say no to that? You're seeing that also within NASA, within Boeing, some of the others, even ULA. You're seeing people get offers to join SpaceX and Blue Origin, and people are jumping to have those opportunities to be not necessarily an early employee, but an early employee in what's everything's happening. I think people will be really surprised how much we see with Blue Origin in the next couple of years. It's always been the joke, like it's been the joke company for a few years, especially with all the lawsuits and stuff. I've talked to a few people within Blue Origin, looked at some of the stuff they're working on, and just talked to other people that have been in it that aren't with Blue Origin but have had tours. No one realizes how far along Blue Origin is and how much planning they've done.
They're just going to roll out and everybody's going to be shocked.
Well, with their lunar lander, I mean, they rolled that out. No one really knew much about the new national team lander. It's larger, it's more sophisticated, it works, it makes sense, builds on the best of what they knew and what they didn't know at the time. And they are launching a Pathfinder possibly next year of a lunar lander. They're going to beat SpaceX to that. From what I've heard, SpaceX is going to launch one demo HLS and then actually do the NASA demo. Blue Origin is doing at least 2 Pathfinders before they try their NASA demo. And then after each do a NASA demo, they get to do a NASA crew. But Blue Origin's like, no, we're going to build at least 2 to prove that we can do it first, test it, make sure we learn from it. So the one we put people on makes sense. And stuff, and they're going to have a number of variants of it. There's crew, there's a cargo version. They've got a lot that they've worked on quietly. And that's just the difference. SpaceX is rather public. It's rather public because people fly airplanes over their build sites and with really long telephoto lenses. So Blue Origin has built very large buildings that we can't do that. So we don't really get to know what's going on.
And
that's the biggest difference.
Just to keep people from seeing what they're doing.
Yeah. It's almost in a way surprise and delight. If you look at anything SpaceX does, anything Elon does, SpaceX has a launch failure. It affects Tesla's stock.
Yeah.
There's no reason it should, but it does. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos, he still owns Amazon stock. He's not head of Amazon anymore, but same thing. They're involved in a lot of things. I mean, the facility they have here, just outside of Kennedy Space Center, one of the smartest things they did is Blue Origin bought property off of Kennedy Space Center property. Still in the wildlife stuff, I believe. They're right on the edge of it. But it's not on the base. SpaceX is. So for SpaceX, if they want anyone to come to their build site at Kennedy, they have to be badged on to the NASA Kennedy Space Center and go through that process. Blue Origin can just drive you straight in from the airport and no one can say anything. They've developed whole facilities in their place for their crew program already. They're already built. They're done. Like their lunar crew quarters and everything are built here, ready for them to quarantine and everything. SpaceX hasn't started any of that, so it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out.
If they pull the plug on Starliner, do you think Blue Origin would come up with something?
Starliner will happen. I don't think Starliner. We'll see how the delays go. I don't think we're going to see Starliner get to do 10 crews for NASA. It's got 6 on contract. It's got 3 already funded. They have 3 more that they've been approved for, but they just haven't been funding authorized for. They don't get the funding authorization until they do the first 2. And then they add 1 at a time type of thing normally. SpaceX is already on its 3rd extension of its 2nd contract for Crew Dragon. So, I'm not sure. So it was just a mistake, wrong decision from NASA. They should have gone with. I mean, we don't know. Dream Chaser obviously hasn't flown, but from what we can see, Dream Chaser looked like it might have been the better option at the time now. But
And how many missions to the station has SpaceX had now?
AX2 was their 10th Crew Dragon launch in 3 years, and 2 of them didn't go to station, so 8.
Okay.
But yeah, 3 years and 12 hours, and they've done 10 crewed missions, carrying, I think they said 38 people, 28 people, 38 people, something like that, to orbit in 3 years. So pretty fast record, and obviously that's because of Inspiration 4, the 2 private Axiom missions, and then they have Polaris later this year. They have 2 Polaris missions on Crew Dragons.
Possible Hubble mission.
And that's possible expansion. There's a few other companies now that are getting into that game, so we'll see what happens with that. But we'll see. I think the biggest thing with that is NASA has said if they're going to do it, they don't want just a boost. They want a boost and an upgrade. So they want people to be able to spacewalk outside and upgrade Hubble, upgrade its computers, upgrade its reaction wheels, and things like that. It needs its once in a 30-year maintenance cycle.
And isn't Crew Dragon the only thing that actually can carry that kind of cargo? And the crew?
It depends how they need access. So Dragon has its trunk, which gives a fair amount of space. The issue is it's not pressurized. The other issue is it's not accessible. The only way for someone to exit Crew Dragon in orbit is the top hatch. They can't come out the side. It's the top. So they'd have to come out the top and then go down the side of all of Dragon to get into the trunk. And that's why they're saying if they're going to boost Hubble, it's going to have a special attachment on the trunk, because the also issue with Dragon is it has no back-facing thrusters. So it can't, with its nose, which has the docking ring, dock to Hubble and then push, because its thrusters would be hitting Hubble. So it actually has to back itself into Hubble, hook it up on a hitch, and then push backwards on itself to boost Hubble for it to work. So that's where there's a lot of conversations on if it makes sense. Polaris Dawn's going to do the first spacewalk outside of a Crew Dragon, kind of replicating what happened with, I believe it was Gemini's that did it. So we'll see if that works. That'll be a big test. It sounds like they're going to put arms on it. It sounds like there's going to be handheld points on Dragon. We don't know what that means, because we don't know if they're going to put those on when they're in space and then take them off. So as they go out, they'll attach them somehow. Because that's a modification to Dragon. There's no docking hook points.
Yeah.
Well, now there could be, because like you were talking, is putting a trailer hitch on it basically, so they can tow it. If you're going to put something on the back of it to tow, you might as well run the darn arms up the side and attach it to that.
Yeah, run some sort of thin things. The thing is, it has to still launch, and it has to be able to jettison its trunk before it comes home. That's the other issue.
Well,
if we could do a free floating spacewalk, if we trusted those, it would be a lot easier. The issue right now is we always require them to be hooked on.
Right.
And there's no hook points on Dragon.
That's why they'd have to attach it to the trailer hitch. And basically, you'd have one rail that runs all the way up toward the nose.
Yeah.
Robot Canada arm in the trunk.
A mini Canada arm.
We're building one for Gateway. Well, 2.
Now, when they do the spacewalk, everybody's going to have to. The entire crew has to suit up, right?
Yeah, so Kid Poteet, the pilot, was talking on somewhere a couple weeks ago, and he was saying every time they go into SpaceX, they're in a updated version of the new spacesuit. He said they obviously started with their current spacesuit, but it is a much more advanced version of that because obviously it has to be able to be doing spacewalks. So they obviously know what it's going to look like and feel like. And stuff, but the whole Polaris teams all stated that's not their place to unveil it. That's a SpaceX thing, so it's a possibility because one
Now-
of the Polaris team even said it. We might not get to see the new spacesuits until literally crew walkout
Here, put
on
these
launch
on.
day
It's-
because they're going to wear them for launch. They're only going to have one suit.
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Is it one suit or?
It's one suit for everything. So
wonder if they could put, when they did the Apollo-Soyuz connection mission,
Yep.
the Apollo carried the docking adapter.
Yep.
And that's how they attached the two of them. I wonder if they could do something like that for the Crew Dragon.
not with its hatch.
Nope.
They'd have to modify the hatch.
Exactly. You just remove the hatch basically and add that
Yeah.
docking collar and have a docking port in that nose piece.
But it needs the nose piece to come back through the atmosphere too, right?
It brings it with it. Almost Pinocchio knows the top of Dragon.
Yeah.
Stretch a column off of it.
Exactly.
Theoretically, yes. Would they ever do it? No. SpaceX isn't spending any time, money, or engineering on changing Dragon more than their customers are demanding. And the whole thing that with this Hubble thing is it's basically Polaris program and SpaceX have agreed to do it for free. They want the public press of saving Hubble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And really, the only reason they want to boost it is the hope is in 10 years we'll have Starship really working that we can bring it home. Because Hubble was supposed to come home on shuttle. It was built that it could be recovered with shuttle. But obviously we don't have a shuttle sitting around anywhere that we can use.
Well, they're sitting around.
They're sitting around. They just need mass modifications and upgrades.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it was 6-7 years ago. They climbed into.
I don't know if we have one big enough, actually.
well, it went up on
It launched on it.
shuttle.
No. There were two different length shuttles. The original ones, Challenger, Columbia.
Discovery was the Hubble.
Atlantis went to Hubble a bunch.
Yeah, okay.
And
Challenger
Discovery-
was the smaller one. Discovery was the smaller one, and
Wasn't Endeavour slightly bigger because it was built after?
no, I think it was actually smaller. It was one of the newer style. They cut the
Were they
size
different?
down for somewhere.
Endeavour was the Challenger replacement.
Yeah.
And there was at least like 2 or 3 more that were planned.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: you said the space station only has 7 more years of life in it.
Yep.
Do they have plans to replace it with anything?
No. Well, sort of. So it'll be deorbited and thrown into the ocean. And then NASA is going fully commercial. So they'll be basically I think there's a total of 8 or 9 stations I've been talked with people about that are in development. There are 4 that NASA are already talking to that are being developed in the idea of basically almost like the old idea of a shopping mall. Some companies will build space stations and then they will have a panel. There's 4 walls. You can lease 1, 2, 3, or all 4 walls, or you can lease the whole module, and you can lease it for a month, 6 months, a year, a week, and then depending on that, you get to plan your missions around it.
Isn't that Axiom, or is it somebody
Yeah,
else?
so there's Axiom Station, which will actually be built onto the ISS.
Yeah.
Starting late next year, they'll start sending up equipment for it, and then the next year after that, the first module will go up, and they're actually going to build about 3/4 of the station onto the side of the International Space Station. And then 2020, I was talking to one of their directors at FreyX too. 2028, I believe, they're required to separate from ISS. So ISS has a year and a half to prep, so Axiom can maneuver away. And then Axiom will be its own station. There's Orbital Reef, which is Blue Origin and a bunch of people. There's Starlab with nanoracks, which is basically almost like the Airbnb of space, where it takes one launch to launch the whole station, and it's inflatable. So you can rent that module. It's like a house in space. So whoever wants it rents it, and they're the only people that are there. And then there's a few others that are in development.
There's one was talking about artificial gravity.
Yeah, so there's some new ones that are. There's two actually artificial gravity announcements that came out a couple weeks ago. The launcher was bought out by somebody else. I'm blanking. Vast, I think. They're gonna launch. Yeah, they're gonna launch with Crew Dragon next year. It sounds like is their target, or 2025. I can't remember. They're gonna launch a module that they've built on a Falcon 9. They will dock Dragon to it, and they will conduct the first artificial gravity test in low Earth orbit. If it works, then 2 or 3 years later, they're going to launch a different module that will be their first like mini station. They will test that. If that works in the late 2020s and into early 2030, they will build a 100-meter long station that spins and gives artificial gravity. And then by late 2040s, they want to be operating a fleet of stations. And the concept is these stations will actually be stations either put into transfer orbits permanently, or will have engines that can be refilled that will just have a station going between Earth and Mars at all times. So you don't need to send a ship. And this is something I was talking about a year ago. It doesn't make sense for us to be sending a ship to and from Mars all the time. If we can get stations permanently put into that Earth-Mars loop, approximately kind of like Elon's car. Elon's car every 3 years comes back. If we could have stations doing that, it's really easy for us to go just dock. Easy.
Yeah. That'd save a whole lot of fuel. Yeah.
Just jump on to the station that's already going.
Now, the stations that are planning the artificial gravity, what are the diameter on these things, and how fast are they going to have to spin?
It fits into a Falcon 9 fairing, so barely. They are very small.
So 13 feet in diameter, maybe?
They would be 4 people shoulder to shoulder plus a couple feet.
I'm not talking about the length. I'm talking about the diameter.
Yeah, that's the diameter. Like, because in Dragon, 4 people. Yeah, 4 people sit beside each other in Dragon, and then you just have the walls and the windows. So, like 5 people shoulder to shoulder. 5 classic American.
Yeah, still comes out to about 13 to 15 feet. Yeah.
Let me just Google it.
How fast is that going to have to rotate to give even a fraction of a G?
Let me see if I can find it. Falcon 9's fairing is 17 feet in diameter.
Okay.
So the capsule will have to be 16 and a bit.
And they're not going to get anywhere near a G out of that without making it spin like an ice skater.
Yeah, it probably won't be full Earth orbit or full Earth gravity.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be just a fraction. Maybe a quarter G at best. And that's still going to be going, it's still going to be rotating at quite a clip, which is going to make docking. Well, I'm sure they can plan a way to do it, but a little bit.
They don't spin up till they dock.
Yeah, it'll only spin up once you're on it.
Excuse me, somebody else docking after it's spun up is what I mean.
They'll de-spin it.
Oh, that's going to take an awful lot of fuel, retro thruster fuel.
At least in the early mock-ups.
You'll have to stop it spinning and then I'm sure Heinlein designed something better.
Let me see if I can pull this up here.
And
It'd be nice to have Stephanie to do the math for us.
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think she would do the math. She'd just say, "That's a fucking stupid idea."
Not in
Yeah.
those exact words, but yeah.
Well, y'all were talking about getting a shuttle going. Stephanie said they went in with wire cutters and pulled equipment out of the shuttles with wire cutters.
A couple years ago, they had to have someone climb into Discovery, I think it was, the one in LA, and pull out some old batteries because NASA doesn't know how to make them anymore, and then you did it on the space station. So they pulled them out and then put them on a future SpaceX Cargo Dragon and sent them up.
Oh,
And probably
'Cause-
pulled them with bolt cutters.
Probably. The person that got to go inside was really excited, though.
well, yeah, you would be. That's a piece of history. But defacing a piece of history, that's not quite as exciting.
I wonder if they've got the designs and all those storage boxes
Yeah.
mentioned earlier.
It was probably cheaper to just go cut one out of a shuttle.
You know, I can't help but think the folks that design and build the British canal boats would probably be a good partner for somebody trying to build a space station because they already know how to pack everything into a 6 foot wide space.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to pull that up, Joe. This is the artificial gravity station. So this is what they'll launch August 2025, which
It's
will
a
dock to a
tomato
dragon.
can.
Yeah, which will dock to a dragon.
It reminds me of those cans of air freshener that you put in the automatic sprayers.
Yep. There you go. That's it in the fairing.
It's an automatic room freshener. That's exactly.
Yeah. So 2025 is Haven 1, which will be zero gravity and artificial gravity for a crew of 4. 2025, later than that, they want to launch one in Starship, which we then know is approximately a 30 meter fairing, but we're not too sure what that means because right now Starship doesn't have a clamshell nose. It comes out the side, so we're not totally sure how that one's going to work. And then-
Are they planning to have the solar array spin with the station?
Yes, we think so, but we don't fully know because once they test this, then in 2030 they dock a whole bunch of them together into a sausage, and then they
That-
spin that all up,
That,
and it will look like that.
That's going to be. Oh Lord, that's not efficient.
Yeah. And then these are what their bigger fleets they think may look like down the road.
Okay. Von Braun stations. Yeah. Okay.
So once they
That
prove
makes
it,
sense.
once they can prove it, then they'll start to curve the sausage into 2 rings, and then the rings would spin.
Yeah, and the axis would be for docking. Yeah.
But to prove all of that first in the next 10 years, they want to build this 100-meter long spinning sausage using Starship.
It'll be easy to curve. You put the curve into the docking rings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. My question is, the solar panels are not going to be getting an awful lot of juice out of the sunlight if they're rotating with the sausage. They need to
I
be.
believe the
They need to be
Starship.
stationary and the sausage in the middle spinning.
I believe the
That's
Starship
difficult
one.
engineering.
Yeah, I think the Starship one it spins internally. Is the
Oh,
thought.
okay.
But
Yeah.
I think the earlier one, this one,
A drum within a drum. Yes.
yeah, this one I'm not sure we know if it will spin internally or not. We don't know much because
that makes a little bit more sense.
yeah.
A drum within a drum.
Stupid. Who the hell thought it was a good idea to put a back button on your mouse?
If they can put a washing machine in space, my son can fly.
So
Even on spin cycle.
Well, this will definitely be a spin cycle. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the drum and the drum will make sense. I'm not too sure. Like, we haven't. This company really came out of nowhere. They bought out a couple other companies last year. They bought out Launcher, which was working on some stuff in low Earth orbit, and have merged it all into this
Well,
whole concept.
The good news is once you have spun up your ship to match the docking port, if you don't look at everything else, it'll be easy to dock. Just don't look at the background. Just look at the docking port.
If it's a drum and a drum, your docking port might not move at all.
No. Wait a minute.
Your door would open and you would just fall in.
Yeah.
Like,
You fall in.
But would you fall in? Would you not still be suspended until you actually
until you actually touch the spinning side? You'd just be floating in 0G.
It would just be spinning around you.
The axis would be 0G depending on how large the axis is, but given the scale that looks, you're talking about a teeny tiny 0G axis, and as soon as you drifted a centimeter off center, you'd wind up slammed against the outside.
I saw someone tweet about it, and I want to say someone did the math that it was 70 or 100 rotations a minute or something.
Good Lord.
Minimum. Something like that. That's what's popping. That's a couple weeks ago, but about that.
That was what I was thinking. Yeah. I know this. The larger the diameter of the object that is spinning, the slower it needs to spin to get 1G. Unfortunately, given the small scale we're going to be looking at, it's going to have to be booking around its own axis.
I don't think my dryer spins that fast.
I don't think my washer on the spin cycle spins that fast.
I don't think Earth spins that fast. Jeez.
And that's if they go for
Is there a mathematician in the house?
That's if they go for full Earth gravity, too.
Hey, if they can get a 10th, if they're aiming at something like that, my best guess, it's doable and would be proof of concept.
Exactly.
Like I said, you got to have something huge to spin, and then you've only got 1G at the outside, and that's a big outside, and the axis is still going to be where you dock, and you can counter rotate the center drum on something really large, and then have a special section like a spinning elevator to match you up to the rest of it separate from where you dock. So where you dock could still be 0G, just counter rotating to the rest of it.
Oh, it'll be.
I've designed stuff like this. I have designed stuff like this for a story. But I went with very large structures. So
started to say, why don't we just use a something similar to Deep Space Nine?
I don't think we can build anything 7 miles long and 2 miles in diameter
Not yet.
at the moment.
Wait till Starship's up and running. Give them 10 years.
Well,
Well, actually, wait until they get a space station up there, and then Dollar General store, Waffle House.
No, wait till we get done, get Starship online, and in about 4 years, Elon time.
Well, you just have to remember the Elon multiplier, 2 point something something.
I've heard of living on Tulsa time, but I've never heard of living on Elon time.
Yeah, you multiply it by 2.27. Someone did the math; it averaged out. Yeah. And then, if you want to know if Boeing's going to do it, you multiply it one more time. We'll see. It's also going to be interesting to see Dragon, because Dragon will take a crew of 4 up a couple of weeks. We think a week or so later to Haven 1, and they're going to dock for 30 days. So it'll be the first duration mission for a U.S. thing to a private space station, and it'll be for a much longer mission than Dragon's ever done other than to the ISS. So lots of firsts with it. 2025 is going to be a busy year.
So
including a lunar mission somewhere in the mix.
Sure, let's go with that. Let's go with that.
In other words, if I live to be twice as old as I am now, I'll still never see this stuff come to fruition.
With the privatization of it, I think give it 10 years, you'll see a lot more than you think. There's too much money wrapped into it, and there's too much potential money wrapped into it now. That's the issue. Well, not issue, but that's what's pushing it forward faster.
I'm sorely afraid that none of this is going to happen in the next 65 years.
Artificial gravity, or which part?
Everything.
Well, private space station's better because they got 7 years to get them up and running and operational, or we will no longer have permanent American presence in space. And that's a problem.
And that is a problem because China's already talking about
It's a race to Shackleton.
Yeah.
We're working on that for our website. We're literally putting up a page that's a race to Shackleton.
Shackleton is the
excuse me, is Shackleton named after the South Polar Explorer?
Yes. Shackleton Crater is where we believe there's ice on the moon, so that's where everyone's rushing to.
Which is kind of how it got its name, because Shackleton knows a lot about ice.
We're really good at naming things.
So let me ask you this, Zach.
That didn't end
Are we
well.
going to see a eventual mining operation in the asteroid belt?
Eventually, absolutely.
Yeah,
in our
sometime
in our
in the next
lifetime,
2,000 years, yeah.
my great grandkids will probably be candidates for that.
It's hard because there's a lot of the foundation already laid within NASA and within the Artemis Accords for it. So that's a big thing of it. And then
You're 2 minutes early.
Dawn isn't here. I don't know what time it is.
No, actually it's about 2 minutes early because we had a snafu on the start time.
And actually, I was just trying to find the button, and I pulled a Joe and accidentally clicked the mouse button. Yeah.
And interrupted Zach right in the middle of
unacceptable. I'm leaving.
I apologize, Zach. I did not.
You're good. That. You're totally. I was like, is my clock wrong? This is a problem. I've got launches tomorrow. My clock better be right.
12:48 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
Beautiful.
I got 49
on the right time.
Well, it just switched over while I was talking.
Yeah.
Keep up. Mining.
Y'all keep forgetting we got government involved in this. That's going to add an extra 200 years.
But we don't have government in all of it. So
private sector.
It's private. So that's and that's where there's a really awkward part right now where we don't know how it's going to work, because I'm sure conversations are happening. The Artemis Accords have been signed by the United States and 24 other countries. SpaceX is contracted to the United States government for a lot of their missions, along with Blue Origin and others. SpaceX has not signed the Artemis Accords, nor do they necessarily have to. So
nothing is going to be allowed to happen until Congress figures out how they can graft their own pockets full out of it. I'm sorry. This is the history of government for the last 50,000 years.
Well, it's not just
they're off the planet. It's not their problem.
Now
want to bet?
That's what the Artemis Accords is.
Now imagine what'll happen when we start having dragons returning from these mining missions loaded with gold.
Oh, we're not going for gold. We're going for that one asteroid that's worth like 1 billion times the world's money.
Oh, yeah, but that's partially gold, but it's also iridium and
when we finally send something to what is it, Titan, that is 1,000% petroleum byproducts. I think Exxon will have something to say about that, and they've got their own congressman, so
they're not allowed to stake claim. That's part of the Artemis Accords. U.S. Congress already agreed to it.
What does law have to do with a business getting what it wants?
Yeah.
I am a student of history. If there's a way for a company to make money, they will not only change the law, they will take over the government to get the law changed.
We'll see.
Yep. Or
this is the whole world unification.
We have seen.
But we're going to unify.
This is the way the universe works. No, we're not going to unify.
We're going to stand shoulder and shoulder and sing Kumbaya around a digital fire
in
on
space.
Europa.
No one can hear you sing.
Yeah, you go ahead and stand shoulder to shoulder and sing, and I'll be living off of my food stamps.
Well, let me ask you this: isn't there a body in the solar system that, when it rains diamonds?
Diamonds. I've heard that.
Yeah.
That is an exoplanet. That's not in our solar system.
But
on Saturn and Jupiter.
I think it's a moon.
Sorry, you're. Wait. Pause. Let me find this.
I do remember one exoplanet like that. Yes.
Uranus and Neptune are not just boring balls. It has molecules in the outer layer of the worlds that there is the chance that the rain is consistent of diamonds.
I'm sure De Beers would have a absolute cow if anybody managed to collect those diamonds.
He went to Neptune.
No.
Hey, better than say he went to Uranus.
That's how he got to
Although there have been lots of missions there before, but that's a topic for the green room. So let's shut up.
Hey,
yeah, let's not explore those tips.
Quit making fun of Uranus. They got an absolute awesome fudge factory.
Hey, do you know what the USS Enterprise and toilet paper have in common? They both fly around Uranus looking for Klingons.
And don't take shit off anybody.
And that's our show, folks.
You realize that joke came out in '66, right?
Nope.
They probably planned it before then.
That joke wasn't a
66.
That was a joke before my.
Good night, everybody.
I didn't do it.
Folks, there's a reason why we call this show Stupid O'Clock. More than one, I'm afraid.
And I'm sorry if I threw a dampener on everything. I don't believe that if there's money involved,
there's a lot of
government will not steal it.
Oh, there'll definitely be something, and I think that's where there's so many questions on how that future looks. There's there's hopes of the Artemis Accords. The Congress has agreed to it. Obviously, will we see it upheld? That's the bigger question. And who is going to be the enforcing body if it's not? And people are starting to ask those questions. The more countries that sign on to it, because how do you uphold technically a treaty that basically the Artemis Accords is everything from low Earth orbit to the asteroid belt in a donut. It's every planet, air, space, underwater, underground, every asteroid, every meteorite, everything is covered in the Artemis Accords in that donut. So how do 25 countries have agreed that they cannot stake claim to land, period. There's no stake to country land, to resources, to everything. It has to be shared.
Okay, how many corporations have signed the Artemis
0.
Accords? There's your problem.
Dan,
And that's
here's
the
the issue. He's already said it's a donut. There's already a big hole in the center of it.
Yep.
That's our son. We don't want a burnt donut.
Wait until Disney buys NASA, and they'll own everything. Okay.
Till who?
Disney.
Oh.
They've already bought Europe. I mean,
Disney
they made a down payment.
Actually,
Can they improve the visitor center?
Disney by Florida.
Well, by the end of the decade, NASA Kennedy Space Center is very unlikely going to be NASA Kennedy Space Center. That's in the master plans for the last 20 years, that it will be privatized. Not the Cape Canaveral part, but the NASA side. NASA will just be one user of many users of Kennedy Space Center, most likely spaceport.
I hate to say this, but Disney is bailing from Florida.
Well, I wonder why.
They are moving to Georgia.
Oh.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that. They've already started buying property.
In and
They
around
can't just-
Atlanta. Yep.
They just can't pick up Disney World and move it to
As
Georgia.
if Atlanta could get any worse.
They're probably buying flags over Georgia because
There's a screenshot.
They'll probably move it all to Gwinnett County since Marietta is full.
Oh, Mayreta's never full. They just want more money.
If I know anything about Georgia, Disney will move into Dalton. Everybody else has.
No, they're not going to move to Dalton. They're going to move to Six Flags because they're in financial trouble and there's a lot of property out Fulton Industrial Boulevard.
Yeah, just buy at Six Flags. Little Disney's all over the country. All I know is don't know why
it only cost about $1.50.
Well, it cost me $1,500 for an annual pass, and if you're a Florida resident, it's only $750.
And keep in mind, Six Flags also owns Whitewater Amusement Park.
All right. 3 minutes, guys. It is time to say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
I apologize to
Join in,
anybody
Zach.
I disagreed with. I'm cynical. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to
Should
it.
be. It's space. You should ask questions and disagree with it.
Tune in to Dan's show, Last Man Standing, over on his channels. And we will see everybody Thursday night, 9 p.m. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Zach.
I have slept the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious, burning blue, I topped the windswept heights with easy grace, when never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.